Hello, hello, welcome, hey everybody. Hey, I lost. Did I have somebody? It was just you and Charlie, right? Yep. Um, hey everybody, welcome to another Spindle TV exclusive class. I sent out if you're a gold member and you're watching, you wanted to join me live. Use the latest link. I sent out the wrong link and um, there's two different link options. There's two different ways I can send links out, and the link that I sent out wasn't the right one. So glad to see Charlie Hall and JR with us tonight. And JR, glad to have you definitely with us after all the stuff you've been dealing with. So I'm glad to see that you're back home.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
it's I understand you know it's been a whirlwind for you. The group is a small group tonight, but tonight we're going to we're going to be making a design in Vetric, and the design that we're making can be done in Vetric VCarve Desktop Pro or Aspire. And we're only 2 days away from Valentine's Day, right? And it's one of those things where it could be a fun project for something in the future as well, but also a last minute, a neat little project that's a last minute gift. Very simple. It's just a nice little simple fun sign for you and a loved one. If there's someone special in your life, and you got 2 days to knock it out, and it should only take a few minutes to carve and all that stuff. It's just all about the finishing and everything. So I figured I'd share that with you, and we kind of go through it. Uh, I've been putting the design together in my head, trying to get it laid. I got it laid out so many different ways, but this should take a very short period of time. We shouldn't be in the class for hours and hours and hours. Short period of time, and it should be something fun and creative that you could change up and do it for any occasion. Just make something nice for your a loved one or something. Or it could be something that you could, if you're selling projects and all, it could be something that you could make that would just be like a for him or for her gift, or for the love of your life gift, or whatever. Just something fun and simple. And it's got its little cutesy side to it and everything. So hopefully the project will be something that that you'll learn something from it. You might not ever make the project that you're about to see tonight, but hopefully you learn something on the process and stuff, and what we're doing. It is really going to be straightforward. So the some things have changed. So let me tell the guys that are with me tonight you're going to be with me throughout, right? So you're not going to be hiding in the background. So we got one camera, one screen, one share. So we're all going to be on screen. I've talked about doing that, having it set up proper in the past. And we with this new streaming platform and the new setup, everything is going to be good. Now, there's going to be every once in a while, if I need to really zoom in or something, then I might put us all in the background with it just zoomed into the project itself. But just keep in mind, you're going to be present the whole time. So um, the so it should be fun. All right, let's get you guys up here in my corner. Uh, Charlie Hall, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
I'm doing well.
Oh, that's good. That's good. It's good to see you. You and Jr. both. And Daryl, sorry it took me 2 hours to reply to your message on Facebook asking if you were going to see me tonight. Uh, yes, you were going to see me tonight. I was just busy trying to put everything together, and I didn't see my post on Facebook. But got a fun little story to share for you. I don't know how many of you know from the last weeks or whatever, but the last couple of weeks or last week or so, I have a new member of the family, a new dog, and her name is actually the same as mine, Lainey, spelled differently. I didn't name her. She came that way, and I didn't change it. I thought, it's I kind of get to feel what my mother felt like when she was yelling at me every day, all day. Lainey, come here. Lainey, do this. Lainey, do that. Right. The Such a great dog. Good with people. Good with animals. Good with everything. little mischievous every once in a while. Today I had some Lee's fried chicken. There's a nice restaurant that makes some wonderful chicken and potato wedges and everything, and had a nice chicken 5-piece chicken dinner and French fries and everything. And I had it had sat for a moment, and I got to warm it up, and I had it sitting right on the stove. And the phone rang, and it was Burl Tishner, the owner of Digital Woodcarver, and he needed to go over with me on a machine setup and everything. And so I got on the phone, I got tied up, not paying attention. And when the call was over, I went out to the kitchen to go get my meal, and I looked on the stove, and it was gone, right? And I look over on my couch, Laney had drug the chicken and the French fries and the plate, and just had a little buffet spread out on the couch. of my food. So I didn't get to eat dinner tonight. She's not in trouble. I didn't yell at her or anything. I would normally address that, but I wasn't there at the moment. She was already kind of into it. When I told her, "Hey, get down," she did stop. I ended up give her the rest of the chicken. I'm not cruel, but yeah, a little mischievous little girl ate my dinner tonight. So that's not the reason why it's a short and to the point class, but I promise I won't get hangry. It was just a little fun little thing to share. Now we're going to share my screen. Now I'm going to share the entire window because I remember the last time that when I shared I'm going to share the screen. I remember the last time when I shared, you guys couldn't see anything that was popping up on the screen. So we should be able to see, and let me get the layout. So I'm going to throw us over to the side over here and everything. And I am working in Aspire, but the project, again, can be done in Desktop Pro or Aspire. There's nothing 3D or anything here. Now, what I'd like to make is there is going to be a profile cut. So we're going to be cutting out a part. We're going to be cutting out some parts. And I have an idea that this project could be something that it could be a sign type project that hangs on a wall, but it also could just sit on a shelf. And it stands up on it. It has a wide enough part of the base and all that it would balance. It would stand up. So it can stand up on a shelf or a mantle or something like that, a kitchen counter, whatever. Or part of it could be removed and it could just hang on a wall, right? Either one. It could be either one. You decide how you want to do it or how you want to design it. Now, this project is going to be if we want it to sit up on the mantle, like up on the shelf and all, it's going to be kind of it could be a two-sided project, but I'm going to make it a single-sided for us to make it just easy. And so single-sided job. The piece of wood, we're going to have a large heart. This is going to be kind of like a Valentine's Day gift, right? It's going to have a large heart, and then there's going to have a sign. And so the overall length of the sign, if you will, counting the heart and everything, I'm thinking that it's going to be probably around, on the smaller side, if it was going to sit on a shelf, something around 16 inches. And on a larger side, it could be as big as you want it to be, right? You can size it however you want if it's going to be something that hangs on a wall or whatever. We're just going to kind of make the condensed version of it. And then from there, you can do whatever you want with it. It's scalable. You can scale it up and stuff. So for the width, we're going to go 16 inches. And for the height, because of the heart and things like that, now the heart, I'm thinking that we can do it out of a contrasting piece of wood to give it like two different types of wood, a dark and a light or something. If you don't have contrasting woods, it's got to be all done in one. maybe a stain on the heart or something to kind of get it to stand out from the rest of the sign, whatever the case may be. But the I'm going to lay this out kind of like as one board. But if we are going to do two separate species, then the heart will get cut out of a second board because it's going to kind of get attached to the first. And you'll see in just a second how we do that. So as far as the height goes, we're going to go ahead and just set this up for a 1x10, or it could be a 1x8. So 7 1/4 or 9 1/2, one of the two. Oh, sorry. I heard the meow. That's not me. That's the guys out there. Okay. So I'm going to say on the height that we're going to do 9 1/4. I know it's 9 1/4. It's 5 1/2 for a 1x6, but then it changes to quarter. I think on a 1x8 it's 7 1/4, and a 1x10 it's 9 1/4, and a 1x12 it's 11 1/4. So it should be 9 1/4 if we're doing like a 1x10 size board. 3/4 inches thick. That's going to be important. If we do cut it out to where it does stand up on its own, the heart part is going to be 1 1/2 inches, but it's going to be 2 pieces of 3/4 kind of to clamp together type of thing to make like 1 1/2 inches. So that way it'll be a bit wider, so it can it'll be what keeps the everything standing up. All right, so we can touch off on the material surface or the machine bed. I'm going to be cutting out a part, cutting through, right, for the heart and everything. So I'm going to touch off on the machine bed. And you can start from anywhere you'd like. I'm going to start from the bottom left corner. So we're going to click OK. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is I need a heart, and I could draw a heart very easily and take some time to get it right and all, but I'm actually a fan of just tracing a heart, right? To kind of get the general shape that I want. So I have a simple image of a heart, nothing fancy, off of Google and everything. And I'm going to go into the trace tool, the trace bitmap tool. And step number 1 on the trace tool is always turn the fading off. Over here on the left, turn that fading off. And I don't have on this new computer, I don't have the mouse highlighter yet. I gotta make sure I download that and set that up so that you can see where my mouse is, but it's over here on the left. We're going to turn that fading off, and I'm going to go black and white, and I'm pretty much, going to, take this as far as I can before I pick up the trash, which for me, my cutoff is 75. I kind of stop at 75. 75 or less is kind of where I deal with things. The default corner fit, noise filter, there's not a whole lot of noise or anything like this, so I'll leave that at kind of 2. We're going to click preview to get our tracing, click apply and close. So now I've got a couple of vectors that I can use for my heart or heart design and stuff. And so with that, I don't need the image anymore, so we can turn off that bitmap layer at the top of the software. We can turn that off, and now we have, our heart. Now, mind you, keep in mind, this is going to be a project we're going to cut out. We'll probably cut out the whole profile, the whole thing, all the way around and stuff. But imagine, if you will, that we have, let's say that the bottom of this board right here is let's say that's our mantle or our shelf. So we're going to have, the heart's going to be thick enough to where when it stands up, we're going to have a project board. Let's say something, don't want to go too high into the heart, something like this. And it can even have a nice little shape to it. It can have a nice fillet. Let's go with like a 2-inch. Oh, that's the wrong kind of fillet. Normal fillet, a 2-inch normal fillet. We can kind of go something over here. Now you're not going to see this part. It's going to be behind the heart kind of thing. So imagine, if you will, let's get this. This would be kind of sitting down as well. And let's pretend that it's behind the heart. So we might have a project like this with this heart. Again, this could be a contrasting color. It could be a stain. And then we could have our sign. We might add a little bit more flow to this, something that's a little bit more, you know, kind of fun and whimsical and stuff. But that's kind of going to be the premise. You know, when it's all said and done, we're going to have something that's going to, you know, it can sit up or it could hang on a wall again. But that's going to kind of be the premise. The heart is going to be with the two. If you do have it standing on a shelf, there's going to be two hearts that are cut out, and they'll be sandwiched together, and there'll be a pocket cut in one so that the board kind of sits in between the two. And when it's all glued together, the heart ends up being about 1.5 inches thick and stuff. So it kind of creates a little bit of a thick base that would allow it to balance pretty decent standing on its own. If you were worried about it tipping over or anything like that, you could always put a little square block or something on the back, you know, to create like a little kickstand or something. You could glue that on the back where it can't be seen. So that's going to be kind of the premise. That's kind of what we're working with and stuff. And again, when it's all said and done, it can be scalable, right? It could be, you know, a bigger sign or something like that, but it's going to be just a fun little last minute whimsical sign. Now, let's get rid of this for a minute. Let's kind of focus on the heart for a moment, because we got to do a little bit of drawing and stuff with the heart as well. The heart, there are pretty much, there's going to be two parts to it. There's going to be the outside border that we're going to be cutting out, but there's going to be an inside kind of V carve with some text. It's going to be your name and her name, or your name and his name, or whatever. If you're, you know, the wife, the husband, the girlfriend, the boyfriend, the boyfriend, it doesn't matter. It's going to be your names, right, in the heart. And however you want to lay them out, left to right, side to side, is going to be fine. But there's going to be some, we got to draw something inside the heart here that's going to be V-carved, and it's going to kind of dictate where the names go. So first thing I'm going to do is the heart that we just traced is grouped together, the two vectors. We're going to ungroup them. You can also hit the letter U on the keyboard to ungroup them. And we're going to just have the outside vector selected for a moment. We're going to offset it outward. This is going to create our boundary line for our cutout. And what I'd like is, I kind of like to have a boundary line that's at least as wide as this heart is right now, if not a little wider. So in order to determine what that is, I'm going to just take a tape measure real quick, and I'll measure vertically. Pick a spot. I'm not looking for exact here. I just want to kind of get a rough idea of how tall that is. So about 0.43 inches, so about 7/16. So I'll probably go a 1/2 inch offset. So we'll select this. We're going to go offset outward a 1/2 inch, 0.5. No sharp corner, don't need it. It's not necessary. Select new is okay, and click that, and that's going to create our outside profile. Now, this again, right now is set up as a 16-inch board. If we need to go wider for the board, the heart, let me just say this. If the heart is going to be part of the one piece, and it's just going to be, you're going to stain it or paint it a different color, you know, you could paint it red while the rest is just natural wood or something, and the letters could be painted a color. If it's going to be one piece, give yourself, you know, it doesn't have to be 16. Make it a little wider so you'll see what we're going to put for the text and stuff. If it's going to be two pieces, then make the heart as big as you want. We'll set it up. You'll see it. And then kind of make the sign, like if your heart is, let's say, this tall, you kind of want the board of the sign to not really go past, you know, you don't want it going up too high, you know, where it comes into the curve, you know, kind of try to stay just a little bit under the curve. You know, we're going to just use that lower section. So for me, just for ease of sake, for what you guys are seeing and everything, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up. And again, this outside line is going to be the profile. I'm going, oops, don't rotate it. I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger. I want to still be able to cut it out of that, 1x10 board. But I'm going to make my board a little bit longer just to kind of accommodate this for right now. And I'm kind of laying it out like as if it was one sign, one board. So on my job size, instead of 16, I'm just going to go 20. Just going to give it 4 more inches. And trust me, man, don't let them lie to you. 4 inches is fine. Just kidding. All right, let's see here. We're going to come over here, and I'm going to center that right there on that edge. And I'm going to center it up and down. Now, remember, we're going to be cutting this out. So we're literally going to be cutting all the way around. So I might as well kind of get this centered on this board so I can have a clean edge here. Let's go ahead to the alignment tool and align to the material up and down. And that's going to be that. Okay, so now we have the outside heart, right? The inside vector, this, we're going to redraw a couple of things on the end here. And then we're going to add the text in before we focus on the rest of the sign. Now, I'm not the best at drawing this, but I'm going to do what I can here. So before I try to connect it to the heart and all, I'm going to come in and try to draw it here. I'm going to go to node editing. Node editing. And I want to pull this over, and I'm going to type in 0.0625, and I'm going to pull this over to the right, 0.0625. I'm going to pull this in 0.0625, and I'm going to pull this top one in 0.0625. Okay. And I'm going to start off with a rectangle here. I want to center these two, so I'm going to hold down the shift key. I'm going to select this rectangle, and I'm going to select this oval egg shape here and align those two kind of like left to right center. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to also put a center line down the middle of the rectangle. And what I'd like to do is kind of create a little bit of an arc and then mirror it to the other side so they kind of match. So I'm going to take the arc tool, draw arc tool, and there's really no rhyme or reason where I'm going. I'm just kind of picking a place, and I'm going to come down to probably about, I don't know, here. And I'm going to zoom in really big so I can see kind of my arc. On the arc, I don't want to go to, like where it goes over the lines or anything, and I don't want to kind of like overlap the lines. I just want a nice, subtle little arc. So on the when I'm drawing the line, when I'm pulling the arc, it gives me a radius, that R, 0.6, 0.4, and the more I go, the smaller that number gets, right? So I'm literally just going to kind of pull that in a little bit, and maybe a 0.25. So I'll click here. And then over here where it says radius, at radius 0.2815, I'm going to change that to 0.25 and click apply. Just kind of pull that in a little bit more. And then I'm going to hold the shift key down so this is going to be selected, this arc. I'm going to hold the shift key down and select that line. And I'm going to use the mirror tool and I'm going to flip it about the line. Oh, well, I'm an idiot. Let's undo that. We want to check off the box first to create a mirrored copy. Then I'm going to flip it about the line because I want a copy to kind of go over there. And then I'm going to take the scissors and I'm going to kind of trim away this excess right in here. Even that. Now this is where it gets kind of testy. There we go. And kind of creating a spoon, if you will, right? A spoon. Now, the on the spoon, I'm going to use the 0 key on the keyboard to rotate it around, just where it's upside down. And then I'll end up kind of freehand rotating when I figure out, what size and stuff I need it to be and all. What I'd like to have occur is I may not be able to be able to get the names, our names and stuff in here. I may not be able to have it this wide right here on this heart. What I'm wanting to do is I want to swivel this around, and it's basically going to be two like spoons. Imagine a heart kind of overlapping each other. Okay. So the spoon heads are going to kind of come around and they're going to kind of overlap each other like this. And as I, kind of make this bigger, I'm not really looking at the stem here. I'm kind of looking at the arcs, right? Because what I want to happen is I want to, let me see if I can. I want to not go any bigger than that with the kind of the spoon head. So if I gauged this right, if I put this arc kind of over here, I'm going to cut the vector right here with a node, and I'm going to let the extend tool show me where that line is pointing to. And that's where I'm going to have this edge of this spoon kind of line up to. So if I go to node editing mode, and I cut the vector right here on this point, on that point, I can use the extend tool and I can hover the mouse over the line and it'll show me where that line is going, right? Where it's kind of heading to naturally. And the same thing with this one, right? I can see where that line is going. And depending on, which direction. So once again, on the extend tool, coming here, now if I click on that and then I come down and click on this line right here, it'll extend that line down right to there. And that kind of gives me something to come over and like snap to, right? If you will. Now, from here, this kind of, again, the size of my spoon that I just drew there, I could make the spoon head, I could make it smaller, I could make it bigger, I could do whatever, but I don't want it to be too gaudy or anything like that. So this is going to kind of gauge for me how thick these bands need to be. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that inside one, and I'm going to take this one here that I've just kind of snapped to, and I'm going to offset it inward. And I got to know how far to offset it. So let me take a quick measurement. If I measured kind of like, let's say from here, just kind of following the line from here to here, we're roughly about 0.318 is what it is, but let's say call it 3/8 kind of thing. So if I take this heart and offset it inward. Let's go 0.325. Okay, now that error right there, we're going to hit continue anyway. What it's saying is because I cut the vector, it didn't know what I was trying to do. So I need to take a second, move the spoon out of the way, trim. I'll take the scissors and just trim that back. Right? My heart should be closed. It should be closed. It is. Now I'm going to offset that inward. I know what I need to do to get that spoon back there, right? So I just need to get the offset done. Offset inward, 0.325. And this time I actually do want sharp corners. So I'm going to check off sharp corners and do that again. This will give me kind of a more of a, the line's going to get cut away anyway, but it gives me a little bit more of a straighter line to deal with. Now I can come in and, don't do that. Move the spoon. And again, I'll, where it needs to go is going to be based on this line up here, this line right here. So node editing, cut the vector again, extend this line down to here. And that's where we're going to move the spoon to. So this is going to snap right there. Then we're going to do a little bit of stretching on this on the side here, just a small amount. We're going to kind of stretch that out right to pick a spot right about there. Almost missed it, but that's fine. It comes up into here and blends will go a little bit more. I wish I could, with node editing, I could. Let's go node editing. Yeah, with node editing, I can kind of select this node and this node. And all I need to do, all I want to do is just literally this line right here. I want to pull it right there and snap it right on that corner. That's it. Okay. So now I have that in place. I can take my scissors and kind of clean up the stuff that doesn't belong, right? Clean up. We'll keep the heart so that inside line goes away. Now notice here, I don't know how that moved. Let's undo that real quick. When I moved, I must have moved instead of stretched. So node editing, select this vector, hold the shift key down and select this vector. Come right up here, grab the line right there and just stretch it out that little bit. There we go. All right, one more time. Trim. Okay. Now, what I'm hoping is that I've, I have enough room to like use this same thing over this way without the two heads really colliding. If they collide, then I need to extend the lines out a little bit further on here, or I need to take a moment and like reshape the spoon. I don't want to deal with reshaping the spoon head or anything like that. If I go in and I start making changes and all, I don't want to do that that way. I don't really know until I come in and the heart here for just a moment. The spoon, not the heart, the spoon is not completely, I just trimmed, but it's not completely joined yet. It's still loose, right? And so I'm going to flip this to the left. In the mirror tool, I can flip an object, create a mirror copy. I can try to flip it about the job center, so it somewhat, flips over that center. And I can flip it to the left, and I can see kind of where my gauge is. And that's actually not too bad. They're kind of just kissing there. I can manipulate things on the heart to get it to work out right. All right, let's do this. I got this flipped. I'd like to have a little bit of space between them so it doesn't look like a set of testicles hanging down there. Let's see here. Let's kind of space that out. We'll space this one out 1 click. All right. I'm going to take these two things. That won't, we're going to make it look like a spoon. We're going to put a little vector in here so when it V carves in, it'll kind of have like a spoon shape to it. I'm going to center that left to right. So align left to right on the material, not the material. No, I need to align it. I need to align it with the center of my heart. So let's draw a line first. So the heart is not quite centered on the edge of the board, so we can't use that left edge right there. I'm going to just snap right to the middle of the heart here. And just go straight down. Make sure my line is 90 degrees. That I'm just making a straight line as a reference. Because when I select these two items, this and this, I need to group them together so they're one, and I need to select that line last. Now I can align left to right on that line to get it centered. Now with that centered, now I can see where my vectors need to go and how I can kind of gauge that is they're going to be identical here. So if I use the extend tool in opposite direction and I extend, oh, it's in a group. It won't extend while it's grouped together. Ungroup. If I extend this line out, let's say we'll just go right up to here. We're going to trim this away. It's just a reference. That's just a reference to give me a reference here. Same thing here. Just to give me a reference where that is, where those two lines are. The spacing I've already got. So if I know that I offset this 0.325. So I'll get rid of this for right now. This heart is going to offset outward until it makes contact right about here. So offset outward. I'll start off with 1/8 of an inch. Oh my God. Almost. I don't know how I couldn't have done that any better if I tried. I'm good with that. I'll pull the vector down. So 1/8 of an inch offset was pretty darn right. So node editing, I'm literally going to pull that node down to here. Get rid of this point and that point. Okay. There's so many nodes on there. There's no telling. All right. So that's my new heart right there. And now we're going to offset it inward, that 325. 0.325. Okay. And these lines are going to connect here, here, and here. So we'll extend this line to there, and we'll extend this line to here. Find a place for it. It's okay that it extended up here. We're going to be doing some scissor trimming and all that stuff. And then we're going to take our scissors and clean everything up. Get rid of the vectors that do not belong. right? So all this stuff in here, all of this, it's okay. That's our line that extended, so that's fine. We can deal with that. Just like that. Over here, get rid of that line. And there's our little, come down here, get rid of this trash. Oop. Okay. So that is our two spoons, if you will, that kind of overlap and go to each other. Long way around to get to it, but we had to get it laid out somehow or another. And I didn't, this is not pre-designed. It's not a vector that we trace. We trace the heart, but everything else is kind of free form. So it takes a second to kind of get, you know, something right. Now, I'd like this to kind of look like a little bit like a spoon. So if I take this circle or this shape here and I offset it, this is technically considered outward. In here is technically considered outward. So if I offset this outward, where's my offset tool? I'm going to be offsetting it to create a small little vector. It's going to be like a glint, like a light glint in everything. So if I go outward, let's say 1/8 of an inch, 0.125, click continue anyway. Okay. Oh, make sure everything is one vector. So what happened here is there's a little line segment. You can see how it's a little darker than all. There's a little line segment that never got trimmed away. If I go into node editing mode, you might see it a little better if I pull it out like that, right? So we need to get rid of that span. And we need to go to the join tool and make sure that it's one closed vector, not one open. And so there's another vector right in here. So if I come in to node editing again, if I were to pull this out, there's nothing there. So hit Control Z, that one's good. If I were to pull this outward, nothing there. And so that's good. So somewhere, Control Z, always undo. I'm just pulling things to kind of see where my open vector is. It's going to be right around the start and stop point, and there it is right there. So all I have to do is kind of just pull this back to there. And if I go to the join tool, it should be closed now. There we go. All right, so my line just slightly overlapped a little bit. But what I was doing is I was pulling the nodes, but putting them back. Control Z, putting them back, you know, just putting them back. Now over here, we had a little bit of a flat spot in our original heart, and it translated to here as well instead of a nice curve like this right side here. So I'm just going to go back into node editing, and I'm going to basically this whole thing, I'm going to go into what's called the curve fit tool over here on the left, curve fit. I want Bezier curves because there's no real, it's Bezier curves more so than arcs. The tolerance, 10 thousandths. I'm going to get rid of the keep sharp corners. I'll click on replace vectors and I'll hit preview. And the flat area is still there. Let's see if yeah, so just one time is fine, but I got rid of all those extra nodes. So now I can turn this, instead of a straight line, I could right click and smooth both of these points. So it somewhat, you know, kind of smooths it out. And then I could slightly, I got to be careful over here, whatever, it's like a teeter totter, whatever I do over here, it does over there. Right. So if I'm trying to, pull this up just a little bit, I could just kind of pull it up just a hair. Not a lot, because it's going to, whatever I do here is going to change there. But I'm good with that. Same thing here. Curve fit, replace. Go to node editing, smooth, smooth. Pull this up just a little bit, not much. And then I might as well kind of rinse and repeat. Curve fit, preview, node editing. Now these two are already smooth, and basically on this, I'm just going to pull the one up just to kind of round that edge. One was a little crooked there. All right, so no major changes to anything. Everything still looks good. Perfect. All right, now you decide where you want your names, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a name here. I'm going to put the and sign here and a name here. So let's first of all hit save, file, save as. And let's call this I'm a terrible boyfriend for the last minute gift. No, let's see here. Last. And if you're watching this with your spouse, say, oh no, honey, I'm not going to make that for you. Don't you worry. Last minute Valentine. All right, we'll hit save. Okay. For the glint, now going back to where we were, the glint offset. It should be a closed vector now, by the way. One join and closed vector. So offset outward, that 1/8 of an inch, and it creates this vector right here. Now, we're going to go offset outward again. This time, it's only going to be half of that, a 1/16 of an inch. On the newly selected vector, we're going to go inward, okay? Let's actually go a little bit. Let's actually go another 1/8 instead of the half. 1, 2, 5. Offset. There we go. Okay. Now, that offset, that vector, these two vectors that were created right here, they're going to get, they're trash, right? So, but we need to do it. We need to steal a piece of it. On the left, we could actually, since it's centered on our heart, we could, mirror it and all that stuff, but we're just going to do it. We'll make it kind of unique. We'll do it on both sides. Node editing. We're going to take this and use the curve fit tool, make it Bezier curves and preview to get rid of all those nodes. I don't want to deal with all those nodes when I'm trying to trim and stuff. Same thing here, curve fit tool, get rid of all those nodes. Go back to node editing, and I'm going to pick a spot right here and cut the vector. I'll come down right here and cut the vector. Now, where I'm cutting this, there's no rhyme or reason. Just want to make have a small, like crescent moon, if you will, kind of shape. Cut the vector there. Now, once those two are cut, come over here and just cut this side in 2 little places. Come inside here. Let's go. All right, that's curve fit, preview. Okay, node editing. Hitting the letter N on the keyboard pops you back into node editing. Cut the vector there, and I think I already cut it here, but let's do it again. Now, get rid of all the stuff that does not apply. So we get rid of this. We're keeping that. We get rid of this shape. Get rid of all of that. So we should have 2 lines here in just a second when I get rid of this. So 2 over here and 2 over here. Everything else should be cleaned back up. Now here, if I select these 2 lines, I want them to kind of come back together. And so I should be able to click this join by moving the endpoints together. and it should put them together like that. And that'll create that little glint there. And then same thing here, join by putting the two endpoints together once, twice. Okay. And that's going to create the little, it'll create, all this stuff is going to get pocketed out, the heart that's going to get pocketed out, the spoons. And these will be two little pieces of wood that are still left raised up. And it just kind of gives a little bit of an illusion of a depth, right? It just gives a little of like there's some kind of depth there, right? To it and everything. So we have our two little glints here. So we took our heart with the two overlapping spoons, we offset it. We cleaned up all those nodes so we didn't have to deal with them with the curve fit tool. We picked two spots, trimmed them, and then we brought on those two lines that we had left over on this spoon and that spoon, we literally just brought the end points together to create that glint. All right, now we can come in here and we can throw some text in here. And we're not doing text in a box, just text. Font. Be a little whimsical, it could be a scripty type font, a little, don't be so stiff and rigid, right? Have a little bit of, it can have a little bit of character to it and things like that. Don't forget about online. Don't forget about wordmark.it. It's a wonderful site. Let's say that this was James, right? It's a wonderful site to where you can see the fonts that are installed on your computer, and you can kind of pick your, fonts and stuff you can see like what that font would look like, and stuff like that and everything. With your fonts, don't be too stiff and rigid, have a little bit of character, not too much character where it's, legible, easy to read, and, but, has a nice look to it, right? And so here, let's say that we have Mike and Susan, right, as an example. So we'll go Mike, and let's drag this. Oops. Grab Mike. Let's drag him over here. And I'm going to put and on a separate line, and the and sign, separate line, Susan. Now, some script and whimsical fonts and stuff like that, the and sign looks a little funky, so it doesn't have to be the same kind of font. Just make sure the and sign is somewhat legible and stuff. The reason why I put it on 3 lines like this is because I can right click on it, and I can come down to the text, and I can break that block that I just made into individual lines. So now Mike is separate from and is separate from Susan, so I can, change up the fonts. So I'll probably keep the same fonts for the 2 names. The and sign, I'll just choose, whatever font where the and looks decent, pretty decent. In our text box, coming back here, I would like a font that has a little bit of character to it. Some kind of script would be nice, but not so scripty that it's hard to read. Excuse me for a minute. Excuse me 1 second. But it could be something fun. And that just looks good. So let's go down and let's see. Now, when you see the rest sign, it's going to be a fun little play on words and stuff. So the text could be a little playful as well, too, kind of like the Lucidia. The reason why I said that, like the Kristen ITC is kind of almost like a kid's handwriting kind of thing. It could be something like that as well. Let's go down just a little bit more. I'm always been a fan of the monotype Corsiva. That's always a nice one. But what I want is not Poor Richard. Let's see, where is it at? I have. Oh, shoot. All of my fonts are on my other computer. I forgot. Like, where's all my cool fonts? I forgot I switched computers. I've got to take my font file and transfer that over. I was wondering where all my fonts went to. Okay. So, got to take a detour for a second. I need to pop online and need to go over to defont.com real quick. Defont.com. I was wondering where all my fonts went to. We're going to choose calligraphy, and I'll just type in Mike right now, Mike for right now. And on the more options, I'm going to choose the 100% free. It'll check off automatically for the GP on OFL, the commercial and personal fonts. So if you're selling your signs and stuff, and the font that I want is the Gabrielle, or let me see if it's going to give me my Gabrielle. There's Gabriella. No, it's not Gabrielle. Oh. You know what? Give me a second. Mike, I'm going to type out Mike and Susan, and that was the second name, right, Susan? Yeah, I think it was Susan. Let's hit submit again. Okay. Not the LT perfume. I like that font, but it's very thin, so it would carve very shallow on smaller projects and stuff. So definitely not that. It's a good looking font for other things, but the Gabrielle that was just, it was somewhere right there. I ended up saying no on that, and then I came down here to the I saw the which one did I see? Was it Delberg? Yeah, I kind of like that one. All right. We're going to go with Delberg. So we're going to hit download. Open the folder. These are the steps. Depending on the version of Windows that you're in, you'll either see extract all or three dots. We're going to click on the three dots and click extract all. You're going to get a window that pops up like this, and you're going to hit extract. It's going to show you the fonts in the unzip window. You're going to right click on them, and you're going to go down and left click on install. Right click, install. Now, this one is saying the font already exists, so that was the same font file. Sometimes it's not the same font file, sometimes a little bit different, but this one is the same, so don't need both, just one. All right, so now Vectric hasn't fixed this yet, but we used to be able to install a font. If the font box was open, we close the font box. We reopen the font box, and we could go down to, in this case, it was the D's, and that font would be there. Now, they haven't fixed it yet to where that's the case. I told them at a show, and they were supposed to go back and fix it. They're like, oh, that was an oversight. We'll fix that. But they never did. So I got to email them and tell them to fix it. So here's what you have to do now. We got to hit save up here. File save. We literally have to close down the Vectric software and restart it. So I'm going to exit out, save the changes, and restart it. They need to get that fixed. Patrick, you need to get that fixed. All right. They said they would. Go back to the project. Okay. Now I can go back into my font box. That font was started with a D, so I'll come down to the D's, and it was called Delberg. And so right here it is. And that should look okay. It shouldn't look too gaudy. We'll find out here in just a second. we're going to say okay on that one. Let's change this one as well while we're here. I want to go bold. Let me see if there's a difference. There's no difference. So it is what it is. Kind of not a big fan of the S there. Why, Laney, why didn't you see that before? All right, I'm not a big fan of the S. So real quick, dadgummit. Give me a decent looking. Master of break. That's my master break. We'll go, all right, we'll do master break. So once again, folder, 3 dots, extract all. In the extract window, just click extract. It opens up the unzip, right click, left click on install. You can't see the window, I can't move it. It's on my other screen. Same thing, right click, install. Okay, now that one is 2 separate files. All right, once again, really quickly, file, close or exit. I'm not going to save the changes because I did earlier. Restart. Go back in there. All right, we're going to choose master of break. So we're going to select Mike. Come down here and go down to the M's. You can also, by the way, you can also hit the letter M on the keyboard and it should jump right to those, the M's and everything. But oops. Okay, no bold. Definitely no italic. Let's do Susan. Okay. All right, let's get them in place because they're going to, the size and the weld and all. The and sign, let's see what the and sign looks like under master of break as well. Go down. Okay. All right, the and sign will be fine. So let's get that in place. That's going to kind of go right here in the middle. You can have it as big as you want. Now, I just snapped to that line right there, but that's not the center of my heart. So if I click on this hand, hold the shift key down and click on this heart right here, I can align left to right to the, oops, try this align down here, left to right to the center. That'll get it centered. And then I can just use my down arrow on my keyboard to move it down. We're going to go kind of right here. Now, Mike is going to rotate a little bit, and Susan will rotate too. Let's get it sized down. Okay, weld the text to get rid of the overlaps. Okay, Susan, we're going to actually rotate her this way. Size it down just a little bit. Don't rotate too crazy or too far, but just enough. Weld, select it and weld and replace. Okay, so there's our, that's going to be our heart. Now, the rest of the sign. Now, the rest of the sign, we'll lay out the sign and then we'll create the border around it and all that stuff. But the rest of the sign, it can be whatever font that you want. On this particular one, I want to have a little bit of a legible font that's not script or cursive. So I like, a good font. There's all kinds of them, but Georgia's a good one. George is a nice one. Let's get over here. The font height is going to be probably about maybe 1 3/4 inches tall, but it's going to say spooning together since, and let's just pick a number, 2010, right? Whatever, whenever you were happily married. We're going to use a right justify or a left justify. It could be really anything. Let's get spooning on a separate line because we're gonna lay it out to where it just create 3 separate lines here. Break those lines in that text block into lines, and then we can move it into position. So we're gonna go here. I'm gonna pick right about there. On this one, I'm gonna actually come right up under here, and I want just to the right of the G, that H, kind of just right there. And then this can be centered. So I'll pick a spot like when we draw the border out, and we'll kind of get that centered. These two are going to be kind of here, and that'll be good. So spooning together. All right. So now hit save our work. And now we got to kind of figure out the board shape, and all. So let's start off with a rectangle, and let's get a rectangle kind of drawn out. Get it kind of sized up here. I want to kind of pull this over to the middle of the heart. It doesn't have to be exactly centered. It's going to be gone anyway, but roughly the middle of the heart here. Let's take I don't really want to stretch this out, but I do want to I need to create a virtual line real quick on the side of the heart, kind of straight down right here. And the reason why I'm doing that is it gives me kind of a reference, like where that edge of that heart is. And now I can kind of draw a line straight across. And what that does, it gives me a point, a center point. So if I take this, I could align to the center of that line, left to right, to get that centered. And let's take that in this line that to the center, and then spooning. I'm gonna I got to be careful over here. I want to move it over a little bit to the left, but not too close. I don't want to be too close on the T. So I want it kind of almost like the P and the G are hugging the work together. And that's good. I'm not going to play too much with that. All right. So that line there, it was just used for reference, And so, hey, Alan Lee, thanks for popping in. Sorry, I'm just now acknowledging you. How you doing, bud? And so now I want to kind of create the shape, this edge over here. And before we did kind of a radius, right? We did a fillet, like a 2-inch fillet, and we popped a 2-inch fillet there and all. But I'd like to kind of have a nice kind of flow over here. So what I want to do is I'll use a circle here. Oops. Let's go 3 inches on a radius. And then hold down the control key and drag a copy over here. This one's going to be kind of a 2-inch radius. So let's go back to the size tool. Make that 3. Find my center point there. All right. Take the scissors. Get rid of that. Oh, you booger. Hold on a second. All right. Take the scissors. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of this and that. This and this. Oh, you booger. I need a straight line. And then I'm just going to go literally straight across over to here. Take the scissors. Trim that to that line. Get rid of this. All this crap. Okay, leaving that there, right there for a minute. So what we should have is we have a vector that comes around and up. It needs to join with this vector that comes around to here. Let me take the scissors and get rid of that. All right. Now, here, very important. If we're doing the item that hangs on the wall, then we, our profile, this guy right here is going to come, it's going to cut, you know, all of this out. And the, it would look like this when we trim. So ignore all this stuff up here, but you know, we would have kind of a sign that has this shape, right? So if it was one one cutout, like one profile cut all the way. Okay. If you want that line to have that kind of that heart outline here, then we take and trim the vector here and down here, and that would be like a profile cut with a V-bit to cut a nice faint line in there to get that faint line and all in. Now, if we're going to make the heart, I'd like to make it thicker. Okay. And so this could stand up on a mantle and everything. So I need this board to be kind of squared off here because I need that vector. And so the line that I literally, it's one or the other. So bear with me a second. Let me make a copy of this so we can have two versions of it. Hold down the control key and drag this over to here. Okay. This version, we would come in. Let's do node editing real quick. Let's pick a spot back here. Cut the vector. Pick a spot down here, cut, don't get too close to your line, cut the vector, take our scissors, trim that away, and this will connect this as one border all the way around, okay? And then this would be, this would be a profile cut with a shallow profile cut with a V-bit to create that virtual kind of line in there, you know, so it kind of outlines the heart and stuff, right? This is all going to be carved inward with a flat and everything with a, or, you know, V-carved with a flat depth. And then the text is going to be, you know, V-carved in. And then that's that. You can do whatever you would like. Let's say, for instance, on this heart, let's say that I hold down the control key and drag a copy of it off, and I size it down really small, about like that. I could come in here and pick a spot. I could come in here and throw that there, right? So I have a little bit of something there, a little, you know, whatever you want, right? You can play around with it however you want. We'll look at this toolpath, but let's make the other toolpath because it's going to be a little bit more involved. So on this one, I need my box back, right? I need my line back. So where that line was when, if I can get it to, I'll just draw it right to there. That was way off, no big deal. That's what the extend tool is for. So extend this line to here, and then take your scissors and nip off the little in there. So this vector, I missed the whole thing. All right, so real quick, node editing, how do we fix that? We select the node we want to align to, hold down the shift key, select the node we want to move, and it needs to go left to right. That's the x-axis, so we'll hit the letter X to pull that over. And then up here, we'll select this node, hit the letter X, pull that over, right? Get that straightened back out. All right, so this border, this is going to be the sign, right? One piece of wood. So let's say the heart is going to be a separate piece that's going to kind of get, you know, glued on top and all that stuff. So let's set that aside for a second. So this as a whole, let's connect everything together. Join with a straight line. All right, so let's profile, let's toolpath this. So this would be a profile toolpath. Cutting all the way through the material, I'll use a 1/4 inch end mill. Now on the end mill, on the end where it cuts, the end mill is just going to cut where it can fit. So there's going to be some radiuses here. You can leave it as is and just let it cut those radiuses in, or you can put them in yourself, your choice. You don't have to do anything decorative over here. It could just be a nice little, it could have been a nice little, just a nice little, you know, or something. I was just trying to be somewhat creative. Don't know if I accomplished it or not, but there we go. All right, we're going to calculate that. And this is going to be the cutout. So that'll be the board. Let's put the text in there. It's going to be a V-carve toolpath. V-carve, of course, always goes first before the cutout, right? On here, I'm not going to limit the cut. I'm just going to use a 60-degree V-bit and no flat depth. It's not going to carve very deep. That's going to carve in here. If you want, you can paint it whatever color you'd like, right? It could be red, it could be whatever. If you want to put the little heart or something like that there, you can. No big deal. You can add something there or leave it as is. But now we're going to have this heart, the whole thing. Let me group it together so it doesn't G for group. This heart is going to be cut out of with this particular setup, it's going to be cut out of a contrasting piece of wood, a contrasting color. And it's going to, you're going to glue it. This is a 3/4 inch piece now. Now the edges, round them over. You know, I don't care if you have a router table or sanding or whatever, but smooth over the edges. Don't do sharp edges. You know, nice rounded heart, like a little, you know, nice rounded edges here on the round over. But this is going to get attached there, and on the piece of wood, we're going to use a pocket toolpath and we're going to thin it down, because we're going to have another piece of wood, same heart shape, that's going to kind of come from the back, but it's going to have a notch cut out of it. And the two hearts are literally going to glue together, and the board's going to be in the middle of them. So what we're going to have here is this vector. Here's how you do this. We select our profile vector. Let's ungroup it for a minute. Profile vector and our board right here. Copy that to a new layer. This is going to be our, we'll call it our pocket vectors. I'll make them red. All right. And we can actually copy these to another, same thing. Same two vectors, copy them to another layer, and we'll call this our back heart. Back heart. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Back heart. Okay. So here's what you got, guys. All right, stick with me on this. We're going to turn off everything except for the pocket vector. Turn that on. Now here, we're just using these two vectors to create a vector for this pocket. This is going to get milled right here. And so make sure that that layer is active, and take your scissors, literally scissors. This gets trimmed away, and this gets trimmed away. That is all that's remaining. We're actually going to do a pocket cut on this, but on this, I need the router bit. This is the edge of my board right here, you know. Remember? I need the router bit, and let me just put it on 0, 0 for a minute. This is important. I got to do all this at once. Turn everything back on. I'm going to select all of this, and I'm just going to, all I'm doing is I'm moving it back to 0, 0 right over here. Sliding all of that over. So that way it all stays the same. And then I'm going to turn those vectors off. Okay. All right. Now this vector is going to be the pocket. Well, when the, remember this is going to, all this is waste up here. So you can make your board however wide you need. There's nothing going to be here. So this whole section right here is going to get milled down. And I need the router bit to be able to go past this line a little bit and past this line. So we're going to go to node editing, and we're going to take this here, and we'll select these two nodes, and I'm literally just going to hit the up arrow, and I'm going to bump them up just once, twice right there. And then I'm going to take all of these nodes and I'm going to bump them over once, twice, just to get past that edge, right? Because when I do a pocket cut, I might have to bump them over a little bit more, but when I do the pocket cut, we want to go down. So We're going to go down 3/8 of an inch. We're going to pocket away 3/8 of an inch of material. Okay. We're going to pocket away 3/8 of an inch of material. So that's going to be 0.375. We're going to use just the 1/4 inch end mill. Let me find my end mills, 1/4 inch. And when we calculate this tool path, imagine this is my board here. Preview the visible tool path. Oh, you son of a gun. Preview all tool paths. What we should have is this top corner gets milled down 3/8 of an inch. And it should go right past the edge. Should clean up the edge. It should have a nice clean edge at the top and on the left side. Just like that. Okay, let's turn off the color so you can see what's happening. We're going to turn this to its side, and this is what we should have. Okay, that board should be milled down 3/8 of an inch. Now, our top heart that has Susan and Mike on it, that's just it's getting V carved. We still got to do the heart tool path for, the heart cutout tool path for the spoons, the crossing spoons. But that's just a 3/4 inch board. It's literally going to get glued right into that pocket. Okay. Now I'm going to have that heart. I'm going to have the board right behind it. And now I'm going to have another heart coming in here, but I need this heart to kind of like literally touch the back of this heart. I need it to kind of sandwich together, right? So on our other vector, turn this off and turn our back heart on. We're literally going to make it active. We're going to trim away all of this. And here, let's set this up on a separate board so it doesn't confuse you here. Let's set it up. Let's do a separate board. How big is my heart? My heart is 10 by 8. 10 inches wide by 8 inches tall. 8 and 7/8, so 9. So out of our 1 by 10, which is 9 1/4, hell, let's just go 9 1/4 by 9 1/4, right? Just a square sheet. So edit. We'll do 2 of them. 9 1/4 by 9 1/4 by 3/4. And then we'll call this our front heart. Rename front heart. That's what, and it could be whatever. Like, make that the dark. Let your board be the light, or you could do the light heart, dark. It doesn't matter, your choice. Do it again. Add another one. Same 9 1/4 by 9 1/4. This will be the back heart. Back heart. We're almost done, guys. Thought it was only going to take about an hour to knock out, but it's taking longer than that. All right. So coming back over here to sheet 1, we're going to take this heart right here, and we're going to copy or move it, not copy, move it to back heart. What's that over there? There we go. All right. And then let's turn on our other vector, the red one that we just trimmed. And that's not the right vector. Our other vector is this. Select. Let me turn off that. Try this again. Turn that off. Select this and move to front heart. Okay, so now we have our board that was 20 inches by 9 1/4, and it's getting the cut that's happening with it is it's getting the text spooning together since whatever the date is, right? It's getting the little pocket cut done on this. And when it's all said and done, it's going to look like, it's going to look like this. It's going to be cut out, have the text carved into it, and then it's going to have that pocket cut. And the cutout is last, right? Not first. I'll move the toolpath around. But it's going to have that 3/8 of an inch pocket right there. That's where the front heart's going to go. Okay. I'm going to give these files to you tonight too, by the way. So when we finish it, it's going to be literally, we're going to transfer these files. So that's one board. That's the 20 by 9 1/4 by 3/4 board. These 3 tool paths, it's going to be the V-bit is going to do the text, and then the pocket cut 1/4 inch end mill is going to do the pocket, and then the same 1/4 inch end mill is going to cut out that shape, right? Done. That board is done. Now, on a contrasting piece of material that's 9 1/4 by 9 1/4, we're going to have our front heart. Let's get it centered on the board. Aligned to center. That heart is bigger. It's 10 inches wide, so it can't be. It's 9 1/4 is fine, but it's got to be wider than 9 1/4. It's got to be. What's my width here? 10 1/4. So let's just go 10 1/2. It's got to be 10 1/2 inches wide. Both front and back heart has to be 10 inches wide, not 9 1/4. So edit that. Let's go 10 1/2 by 9 1/4. Same piece of wood, just a 10 1/2 inch piece. Okay. Get that centered now. Okay. And then on the back heart, that's also going to be 10 1/2. So 10 1/2 by 9 1/4. All right. This is going to, don't do it that way. Just center it with the alignment tool. There we go. All right. So, and let's go back to sheet 1 for just a second. On sheet 1, let's move this to a new sheet, and we'll call this new sheet one piece. Like it'll be like the one piece board, one piece project, to where it's just one piece, and it's not. It's going to hang on a wall or something. It's not going to be this 2-piece one. And let's turn the visibility of that off for the moment. Alexa, stop. All right, so front heart. Here's the tool pass for the front heart. So we have Mike and Susan and the spoons, right? If you want to do, I'm going to just do them all. I'm going to select them all and do a flat depth. So all the inside stuff, oops, even this line. It's going to be a V-carved toolpath, one toolpath, V-carved toolpath with a flat depth. And I'm just going to go 1/8 of an inch, 0.125. I like 1/8 of an inch with a 60-degree V-bit. Now, on this flat area, I don't want the V-bit trying to flatten all that out. So I am going to use a small end mill. If you don't, this right here should be wide enough for a 1/4 inch bit to fit into. So if you don't have like an 1/8 inch bit or something, use a 1/4 inch bit. I'm going to use an 1/8 inch end mill. If you don't have one, it should be big enough for a 1/4. But I want to use an 1/8 inch end mill. And we're going to calculate this. Oops, get rid of that 1/4. So just a 60-degree V-bit is fine. And an 1/8 inch end mill is what I'm using. We're going to calculate this really quickly. It says there's overlaps. Let me find out what those are just really quickly. Search right here. Okay, there's a little line probably from the clipping. There's a little line right there that's overlapping, and that's all it is, a little piece of trash. And let's go to node editing. And if I pull this up, it's kind of like the vector, just overlapped on itself. And if I pull this up, that. So what I'm going to do is literally just delete those 2 points. and get rid of that. So somehow or another, the vector was overlapped on itself. All right, once again, select everything. Make sure both inside lines of the heart are selected. Calculate that toolpath. Preview the visible toolpath. Okay. When this gets painted, it's going to look like that. And you see what that glint does? That little glint kind of gives it almost like the illusion, like there's some kind of depth there, you know, on the spoon, right? That was the purpose of the glint. So that's going to be that's what your V-carve is going to look like. This is what it's going to look like when it's not painted, right? And then we have a profile cut. So the front heart is simply this V-carve and a profile cutout, 3/4 of an inch thick. So profile cutout, 1/4 inch end mill outside of the line. Use tabs if you need tabs, if you're doing clamps, or if you're doing the two-sided tape or tape and CA glue, whatever, you don't need tabs. I've kind of like started using the CA glue and the green frog tape, the painter's tape. I like it. So that's what I'm going to use. So I'm not going to put tabs in it. That's going to cut out. This project, we'll look at the times. Literally you should be able to knock it out in less than an hour, besides the painting and stuff. All right, so this is going to be the front heart. Okay, so that's going to be the piece. That's going to be the first piece. And again, it's going to sit in that pocket, right? All right, now the if we were to just really quickly look at the time on this, 11 minutes, right? 11 minutes to knock that out. Could be less depending on how fast your machine is, right? And what your tools are set up, but 11 minutes for that part. All right, so that's the front heart done. Those V-carve, profile cutout. Now, the back heart, on the back heart here, this is going to get pocketed. So this is going to get pocketed. And it's going to be just a hair over 3/8 of an inch. Remember, I have a 3/4 board that we just pocketed down 3/8 of an inch that front heart's going to kind of be glued into. So on my back heart, I'm going to have that same notch pocketed on the front of that heart. So when it comes together, that board is going to kind of be sandwiched in between those two hearts, but the two hearts are going to be able to make contact. They're going to glue together, right? Like a very tight sandwich. So I'm going to give myself on this pocket a few thousandths of a relief, so that when I come in and I'm glue it all together, that there's not like a gap between my two hearts at the top. I want them to kind of come together. So I'm going to give this pocket cut is going to go just slightly over 3/8 of an inch deep. Now I need it to clean up this edge right here, this edge. So on this pocket cut, this is getting, kind of cut out or pocketed down. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to finish off the rectangle, if you will, right? So we'll take this line, come out just a little bit further. It can actually go right out, past the board here, the edge of the board. Want to kind of come down here and then over to there. Space bar. And here in node editing, oops, I need that vector too. Oh, when you click on nodes and stuff, don't drag them. I just click on them. I need them to come down. So I'm going to bump them down just a little bit so they're past the edge of that heart right there. Now that vector, that rectangular shape, really, make sure it's closed. Let's select it. Make sure it's a closed vector, because all we're going to do is run a pocket cut. So we're going to select that. It's going to be a pocket cut. Now, instead of 3/8, instead of 0.375, I want to go just a few thousandths more, not crazy, right? So 5 thousandths should be plenty to get me by a little relief and everything in case there's something slightly off or anything. So 0.005 plus 0.375 would be 3/8, right? So we're going to go 0.38. That'll be our depth of cut. And I'm going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. We're going to calculate that and preview that visible toolpath. So we're going to have this pocket cut. Now, in the top left here, our corner is going to be slightly rounded, right? Because of the router bit. You'll just take a chisel or a razor knife and you're going to just kind of make that corner so that when your board goes in there, you know, it fits. So you don't have to round off the corner of the other board and all. We just make it, you know, fit. Just a little cleanup to square off that corner. Now, if you want, we can also make this line a few thousandths higher, and also it's a nice fit so they don't have a lot of sanding and stuff to do. All right, so let's do the profile cutout. So there's only 2 tool paths here. Profile cutout, 3/4 inch all the way around, 1/4 inch end mill. Okay, get rid of this waste. All right, so now we have this. So this will be the back heart. So this is our back heart, our board that has, you know, spooning together since 2010. That goes in there. And then our front heart goes into the pocket that's on the front of that board. And those 2 hearts, everything gets glued together. And the reason for we're doing this is because when these 2 hearts are glued together, we have kind of a 3/4 and 3/4. Basically, we have like 1.5 inch heart that gives us some stability for standing up so it can stand up on a shelf, right? And also, you know, it'll be contrasting wood. So it'll be, you know, one color wood versus another, and it'll give us a little bit of a character and stuff. So again, to cut this part out, we're looking at about, because of that pocket cut, it says 29 minutes, but we're going to change that right now. It doesn't need to take that long to cut out a pocket. So it's saying 25 minutes on the pocket. Let's fix that really quickly. Here's how we optimize that. On this cut, it's a pretty, it's 10 inches by 9, right? So we're about 8 inches, and it's going round and around and around on that 40% step over with that bit, right? That 1/4 inch bit. I'm going to do it as a raster cut, kind of back and forth. We'll do it 90 degrees, so kind of this way, with a profile pass last, so it'll kind of clean up that edge. And let's look at the number of passes. It's taken 1/8 of an inch per pass. I don't want to mess with the passes, so we'll leave that alone. But let's take a look at the tool settings here. Depending on your machine, you should be able to go about 75 inches a minute. And we can also use a larger bit too if we want to kind of shorten that up. We can cut the time in half by doing a 1/2 inch end mill and a 1/4 inch end mill. But let's calculate that with a little bit of a faster speed and the profile. Let's see what our time is now. 20 minutes. So we were able to shave off 9 minutes just by making that change. Instead of offset, run around and doing a profile cut or a raster cut and then a profile, and then changing from 55 inches a minute to 75 inches a minute, go a little bit faster. So that's fine. So altogether, we've got 11 minutes, 25 minutes, or 29, we'll call it. So 45 minutes so far for that, those 2 parts. And then this one, 33 minutes. So talk about a last minute project. We've got 33, 11, and let's call it 30. So an hour and 3 hours. So within an hour and a half, you could have this knocked out, right? And the thing that I'm going to do is to make it easy, the fonts that we use were I'll include in the file. If you don't have version 12, I'm in version 12 here. If you don't have version 12 and you can't open the design file with the toolpaths and stuff, I'm going to provide the vectors, but I'm also going to provide a font folder. You can download or install the font since they are free anyway. And then all you would do is change Mike and Susan. You can change fonts too. You don't have to use the same font. Change the 2010 to whatever date it is, and literally you could put this together if you wanted to. So once again, we have 3 boards. The first board is going to cut out. Now, something very important here. Let me stop this. Very, very important. I'm going to reset. Remember, we moved those vectors over, all those vectors over to that edge, earlier. What I want to do is, because we moved those vectors over and stuff and everything, it's important that I recalculate these toolpaths on this one. So I'm going to all I'm going to do is just hit recalculate all toolpaths. Okay. All right. Now on this board, we have the text, the pocket cut, profile cutout. That about 33 minutes. That's based on my speeds and feeds for my smaller machine. I'm not using my bigger machine on this one. That's based on this design. You can change the board. You can change anything you want on this, right? But that's going to be part 1. So that's the first part. Okay. The second part is going to be the heart. It's going to do the text and the spoons, V-car, V-bit, 1/4-inch end mill. Could be an 1/8, whatever you want. But it's going to do a profile cut. And that's going to be the second part, right? So part 2, done. And this glues right into that pocket that was on the front of that board, okay? And then the third piece, again, this heart and the other one, 2 same materials. You could make them different color or different species, I guess, but keep them the same, I guess. I don't know, whatever you want, whatever creativity you want. That's going to be the back heart. It's going to be simply a pocket cut, removing that pocket area. The only thing you're going to have to do by hand is clean up this inside corner so that that board, when it's sitting in there, can fit, right? And you might have to do a little bit of sanding on this top edge and everything so it fits, because we're kind of using similar vectors. We're using the same vector for the profile cut as we are for this pocket cut. All right, so that's going to pocket that out. You can change the speeds and feeds for your machine, whatever you want. And then it's going to be a simple profile cut. Again, 2-sided tape or tape CA glue or clamps. Just put tabs or whatever you need. Make your board whatever size you need if you want to give yourself more room. This is cutting right to the edge. You can see that right there. So not a whole lot of room for clamps, but there's still some. And that's going to be the third piece. So that's going to go on the back side. And when it's going to sandwich, those 2 hearts are going to sandwich that one board kind of like right there in the middle and everything. And so that is going to be this quick and simple project for tonight, 10 o'clock. I thought we would get it done, but we knocked it out in 1 hour and 49 minutes. I thought it was going to be shorter, but there's a little bit involved with that and everything. And so maybe it could be something fun for you. Now, if you're doing just the one, like it's going to hang on the wall, just really quickly, it's just a couple simple toolpaths. Let's switch over to that sheet really quickly. 1-piece project. Let's get this centered on the board. Align to center. The board has to be the appropriate size to fit. So let's go into the sheet and make the board the proper size. All together, this project, as it lays out, is 25 and a 16th inches long. So let's go edit. Let's go on the length, 26 inches. All right, get it centered. Align to the center. There we go. All right, so tool pass for this. If you're just doing the one piece, it'll hang on a wall or whatever the case may be. You're going to have the V carve all the text, except for this line right there. All the text and the spoon, even if you do the little heart right here, all that is going to be one tool path, V carve tool path. Limit it to 1/8 of an inch. It looks really good. 1/8 of an inch. Use a 60-degree V-bit. You can use whatever size end mill you want. I'm going to use an 1/8. A quarter will fit in there and stuff like that, but an 1/8, I just want to kind of get close and stuff. Calculate that. That little M on this one is overlapping. That's what that little message was. So really quickly, give me 2 seconds to fix that. I don't want to have any flaws in this. Where was that at? It was. All right. Gotta validate it. Let me validate it and find it again. All right. So node editing. So basically all we're doing is just deleting that point and that point. Okay. And just to make sure, this is kind of the one piece project, just to make sure that there's no other issues that I need to be aware of. Yep. So what it's pointing out is there's an overlap. Yeah, there's a line there, right? Let's go Control Z to put that back. I'm going to right click and shell it to select all open vectors, and this right here should be a closed vector. So when we go to the join tool, you see how it's open. That's because there's kind of a bit of an overlap here. So in node editing, that line right there, that vector, and this vector, right, it kind of, they're trash, right? So we need to delete this span and this span. And if I go back to that join tool again, it should close it up, right? So it was just, there was an extra line there that needed to be cut free. All right, so let's vector validate it, make sure there's no other. All right, all clean. Okay, so here's what it is. Literally turn off this and that, and it's a V-carve toolpath. Eighth inch flat depth and all. It's going to carve out the spoons, right? There's going to be a profile with the V-bit, profile toolpath, only cutting just a small amount, like literally like a 1/16 of an inch deep with the 60-degree V-bit, same bit that we're carving with. On the line, calculate. And what that's going to do is going to give kind of the virtual inside of that line, that heart there. And then we have the profile cut. Profile cut, cutting everything out. So it's going to go all the way through the material with the 1/4 inch end mill on the outside of the line. Again, add tabs if you need to add tabs. If you're using two-sided tape, you don't need tabs. That's going to be the profile cutout. And the reason for the, let's get rid of this. Okay. Now, the, what am I trying to show you here? If you want this cut, I want to kind of, you want to kind of keep it back here a little bit, understanding that, imagine, if you will, that the router bit, that router bit continued on this line all the way around here and everything. If I actually had the bit, instead of carving on the line, if I had it cut on the outside of the line, then it would line up better here and here. It wouldn't be up so high. So I'm going to undo that really quickly. Undo all that, reset that. I'm going to go back to that profile. Instead of on the line, I'm going to go on the outside of the line, but it's important that I choose the right direction. So on the outside of the line, it's very important that I'm cutting on the outside of the line, right? And if I wanted that bit to come up to here, if I extended that line up, I could get it to kind of cut up to there. I kind of cut it short just so it's really what all you want. So let's preview this again. Okay, and let's get rid of this, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. It's closer up here, right? We could have it, if we wanted to, we could extend it just a little bit so it kind of cleans up that little bit there. And then we could have it extend a little bit so it kind of touches right there. But all it's doing is it's kind of giving that outline or that edge of that heart, right? So this is just a one project board. If we, were to paint it in or something, it could be red, it could be whatever color you want, right? Paint it multiple colors, red hearts and stuff like that. But that is just the one board project. It's not really thick enough to kind of stand on its own, kind of deal and stuff. And there's a lot of weight down here. But what we could do is, if we wanted to, we could get rid of this notch and have this line right here come straight across. So there's not that little step down. So it's like straight across right there. To get rid of that notch, that's totally up to you. But this is kind of the way it's laying out right here. Right? So that's the one part project. So two different things. There's a two-sided one that can stand up on its own, two parts, with the front and back heart and the piece, or there's just the one sign, right? So I'm going to save this, hit save. Again, literally give me about 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. And in the description of this video file on YouTube will be the link to download the file folder for this. And it'll have, if you don't have version 12, it'll have the vectors. And I'll take screenshots, pictures of the toolpaths and the settings and stuff so you can kind of match it up. And I'll take pictures of the 3 sheets, and we'll open up, like we'll select, I'll open this up. I'll have this window open so you can see like the sheet, the board sizes. And just know it's 10.5 by 9.25 for the hearts. And then the 20 by 9.25 for the middle part, right? The middle board. All right. But anyway, I'll have all that. Give me about 10 or 15 minutes and those files will be there, and you could literally, something you can knock out the next couple of days if you need a last minute gift for that special loved one or whatever. Thought it would be kind of a fun project. Linda, great to see you. Thanks for popping in. Daryl, glad you like it. Let me get big again here real quick. Hey, Charlie, you still with me? Charlie's still with me there. Charlie, how you
Yes, sir. I'm still here.
Let's see here. Quick question, Laney. I'm looking at Speed Tool and curious about your opinion of their quality, longevity, etc. I'm noticing they're considerably cheaper. I love Speed Tool. Love them. I that's all I have is Speed Tool. I have our bits, digital woodcarver router bits as well too. But on my 1/8 inch extended long bits, 1/4 inch shank, 1/8 inch upcut, downcut, and compression cut, all Speed Tool. My metal milling bits, my plastic cutting bits, all Speed Tool. All bought off Amazon. I like Speed Tool, Daryl. Great quality bit, affordable. I like Speed Tool. So yeah, I would recommend them all day long. Let's see. Did I miss any other questions? No, that's it. All right, cool. So yeah, Daryl, go with Speed Tool. Cool. Hey, Billy McGee, good to see you. So Charlie, what do you think? Fun little whimsical project, you know?
Absolutely. And you could even, if you had a laser and you didn't want to carve the names in, if you wanted to interchange the names, you cut the names out of 3mm birch plywood or something and clip them on there.
Yep.
You know,
yeah, that would be cool too. Even the heart, the spoon hearts could be, out of a thin piece of wood, could be laser engraved and glued on there too. It could be contrast for sure. Lasers are fun little projects and stuff. And so all of these, the vectors and all, they're there, right? And somebody could run it as is. They can make some changes or adjustments. And but it's just something quick and simple, and it's fun, I don't know if it works if I was in a relationship where my ex couldn't stand my snoring, so we actually, for the last part of our relationship, I slept in a separate room. So we weren't spooning together since 2010. We were separate for a little while, but my snoring got worse. I think I got it under control now, but she's like, you gotta go to the room down the hall, I can't sleep. But she had an important job, so she needed her rest. But no, it's just something fun and whimsical. That's it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you all, as always. And literally, give me just about 10 or 15 minutes. I'm going to make this file available tonight, like in just a few minutes. I'm going to clean it up. I'll get all the vectors and the pictures taken. And in the folder, when you download it, if you have version 12 of VCarve Desktop Pro or Aspire, you'll be able to open the project file up and everything will be right there, of course. If you don't, you'll have the vectors that you can simply import. You'll set up the job and you'll import them in. And I'll have screenshots of the toolpath so you can just recreate this. And then, of course, you have this video too, right? So we literally have all the video too as well. Cool. All right. And Billy agreed with you, Charlie. Said good idea on the laser, And I love, if I could really quickly, let's see here. If I typed in wood Valentine gift, right? Gift or something. And we go to images. Let's see. So think of it like this way. And let me make it, we'll go like this for a second, Charlie. There we are. So imagine on a smaller scale, what Charlie's saying is, the names could get cut out like, with a laser, and they could get glued to the top of the heart so you can add that contrast. And it also gives it kind of levels, and things like that. That's what you were referring to, right, Charlie?
Yes.
Like, they could cut out the names and stick and glue them to the top of the heart and all. And it just gives it levels. And that's what's cool about it. It's kind of, let me see here. There was a better example. Let's go back to that and scroll down. I think somebody else. So you see how the you and me is cut out and it's glued to the front. This is pallet wood in the background here, but it's just glued, or they actually have it nailed. There's a little tacks right there, but same thing. You can glue it to the front, and that's what Charlie's talking about. And again, it could be a contrasting piece of wood, and it could give it some character, right? I love those type of projects like this where, you carve something out, whether you carve it or laser engrave it or cut it out, and then, you know, have a backer board that it's attached to. I like those types of projects. So for sure. Okay. All right, everybody. Well, listen, it's thanks, Kurt. I appreciate you. And good to see everybody popping in. I know we had a late start at 8:15 and everything and all, but I appreciate you hanging out with me for this couple hours tonight. If you're around, join me tomorrow night. I don't know what project we're working on, but we're going to have a public class tomorrow, and we'll see what we are doing. Next week, guys and girls, I'm not going to have a class like a lesson, but I do want to have a live stream. I want to have our private meeting here, but I want to be out in my shop. I just want to kind of show you guys around. It's not like 100%. I don't have any cabinets built or any of that stuff, but I want to stream next week's Wednesday night member only class from the shop. Show you kind of around and just have a discussion. We can talk. You can do a Q&A. We can do a Q&A and all that stuff, but we're not going to really have a Vetric project next week. I just want to kind of show you what I got going on and what my thoughts are with my shop, and then we're going to have a discussion of the projects that I'm actually going to be building. So those could be classes like the cabinets and things like that and stuff. But that's what I would like to do next week. Next Wednesday is I'd like to stream from the shop. So there's not going to be a Vetric project and everything. I'm not going to have a project ready. I just want to have kind of a Q&A. I kind of want to do a little show and tell and have a short, you know, kind of class for next week. Okay. So that's what I would like to do. And I think that's what we're going to do, if you don't mind, for next week. All right, everybody. Well, listen, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks again for hanging out. Thanks, Charlie. I appreciate you for hanging out with me. And JR, if you're listening and watching in the back, get well, man. Hope that cat bite heals and all your stuff gets better. Thanks for popping in for the short time that you could stay with us. All right, everybody. Charlie.
Thanks, Lanny. Take care.
Yeah, man. Have a great one. Hey, also in the comment section of these videos when they load and everything, just give me a little shout out and tell me what you think of the new stream. I got to change the colors, of course, but it seems to be doing okay. Let me know what your thoughts are and stuff like that, but it seems to be going well. And I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one.
All right. Good night.